Hi everybody, how are you doing? So in this video, I'm going to explain in depth what I mean when I'm talking about stress and anger management through gaming. I'm going to give you some straight up techniques, and I'm also going to talk about these concepts a little bit outside the context of gaming. Those are tools that I sort of came up with, and I find them to be quite powerful and effective for the purpose of practicing the skill of gaining control over your emotional responses. Now, as I said, I'll be focusing on anger and stress, because those are the ones that mostly get invoked while playing video games, thus providing us with the opportunity to practice keeping our reactions to them under control. And once you learn this skill, you can adjust and apply it to different emotions and mental states. So first of all, why video games? What do video games have to do with anger management? Well, video games have a unique ability to provide us with a simulated, emotion-stimulating environment, which we can use to practice the skill set. This method I'm going to talk to you about, where we notice our emotions come up, we catch them, and then we seize control and dial down them and or our reactions to them. And I believe that practicing emotional control without being in an emotion-stimulating environment is kind of like learning how to swim without being in water, or learning self-defense without an opponent to spar with. It will just never be as effective without those arising emotions to practice on. And I believe that gaining control over your emotional responses is one of the most important skills you can master as a human being. Because, like it or not, we are social animals. We need to interact with other people if we want to live our lives on this planet. And if you're the kind of person who is good at this, either naturally or through practice, if you have your responses to your emotions under control, then people, and even some animals, will just behave around you in a certain way. You are more likely to be respected. People will want to listen to what you have to say. People will want to be around you more. You're basically a more attractive person to other people. Now, if on the other hand, you're the kind of person who lets their emotions take over and control their behavior, you will do the opposite of that. People will perceive you to be childish and out of control. You'll be less likely to get what you want. You will probably feel less respected, more ignored, and so on and so forth. And beyond all of that, if you let your emotions hijack your behavior, you just won't be as effective at dealing with the problem, with whatever invoked the emotions. So now let's talk a little bit about anger before we talk about how to deal with it. That fire that burns in your chest whenever you feel that you've been wronged or something didn't go your way or control has been taken from you or whatever. A smart person once said something that I thought was profound. They said that anger is an emotion that is half negative and half positive. Now, simple as it sounds, it was an epiphany for me personally, because it was always just a registered fact in my head that anger is a negative emotion. Those thoughts that just live in your head and you never bother to question them because you don't know that you need to. Well, just think about what it means. If you believe that anger is a negative emotion, then you believe that whenever you feel it, it's being imposed on you. Because we usually try to avoid negative emotions. They're not pleasant to us. It's sort of their definition. But if it's a half positive emotion, then maybe you're actively trying to get some of it, probably without even being aware that you're doing it. And I believe it's correct. I do believe that some of us seek it unconsciously to a degree. And I think that the positive element of it is that it makes us feel powerful. It makes us feel fierce. It's a display of aggression that we believe enables us to regain control and power over a situation and force other people to respect and notice us. The problem with that perception is that it's usually false. It may cause some people to beware of you because you look like you might do something crazy when you're in your fit of anger, but they certainly won't respect you. In fact, the only time where your anger can achieve anything resembling a desired result like that, to get other people to respect and heed what you're saying and be attentive to what you're trying to convey, is only when your anger is rare. When you're known to be the kind of person who is calm and cool and in control of their emotions, then even a mild display of anger can achieve a response like, wow, something really serious must have happened to get this person riled up. Now, in the context of gaming, we usually get angry when we fail, we lose a battle, whatever. And the anger can be quite severe in that situation, let me tell you. Now, it doesn't matter what raises the emotional response. For the purpose of practicing, what matters is that we get the opportunity to practice. So you're in your game, you're fighting some foe for a long time, you've attempted this battle many times, you're sure you've got it this time, you're almost there, they got this much life left in their life bar, and then at the last minute they get lucky, you get killed, and you have to start all over again. And that's how you get those YouTube videos of people throwing their gaming controllers on their monitors, breaking their TVs with various objects around the house, throwing their TV sets out the window, spazzing out like crazy, whatever. Not a pretty sight. The reasons for the anger may vary a little from person to person. It can get a little deep sometimes, like you can project that loss on your identity as a person. I've lost, I'm a loser. Or maybe the game deprived you of the dopamine rush you were after by preventing you of achieving that little goal you had there. Maybe you feel that the game has wasted your time, because if you're an impatient person. So your intuitive response is to get angry at that source of your sorrow. Try to punish it with your anger and to regain power and control. I got that gaming rage many times, by the way. I got pissed off at games many times. I never threw my controller at my TV, but I wanted to. I get the need. That's how I came up with this whole thing. So what you want to do in that situation, and now I'm getting to the practical stuff. First of all, understand this is a mental game. It's all happening inside your head. There's no other place where it can happen. You need to be in a mindset of playing a game with yourself, where you win if you manage to not react to your anger. So you're playing a double game. You're playing the game, the one on your computer or console, and then you're playing the real game, the important game, the game of life. That's how you need to look at it, to frame it in your head. So something annoying, something anger-provoking happened to you in the game. You failed, you fell, you lost, whatever. The fire begins to burn in your chest immediately. You need to recognize that that is happening. You need to remember yourself and what you're doing. And even that takes practice, just the act of noticing. And then what you want to do is you want to look at it as an observer. You want to look at the fire, look at the anger as a bystander. It's happening inside your body, but you're observing it as objectively as you possibly can. You're just standing there, looking your anger in the eyes, metaphorically speaking, not reacting, not yelling, not making fists with your hands, not swinging your arms, none of that. Instead, you consciously do the opposite. You relax your body, you lay back, you assume a comfortable position in your chair. Maybe you close your eyes for a few seconds. Maybe you take a few breaths. And then you wait like that in a relaxed state for just a few seconds and see what happens. You see, your anger, with whom you're in a kind of a metaphorical staring contest, begins to cool down after just a few seconds of not getting a response from you. Because you see, what's happening is this. The burning is there. You're not going to instantaneously put it out. You don't have that ability. You don't have a mental switch that enables you to shut down your anger at will. You don't have direct control over it. You can, however, learn to control it indirectly by learning to control your reactions to it. How does that work? Well, if you observe yourself and notice what's happening, your reactions to the anger amplify it. Like pouring gas on a fire, it fuels it. That satisfaction of feeling powerful and fierce and scary when you're in your fit of anger encourages it to continue and grow and amplify. So you get a feedback loop going where your reactions amplify the anger, your anger amplifies your reactions, and so on and so forth. Now, if, however, you relax and you don't react to it, what you'll find is that your anger behaves like a wild animal that stares you in the eyes, trying to test and assess you. And then if you manage to stay cool and don't break eye contact, it starts slowly backing away because it realizes it's maybe facing a worthy opponent and it not might be worth the risk. Or another metaphor, your anger will act like a performer that realizes that their act didn't land on the right audience, so they start slowly and awkwardly backing off to the backstage. And once your anger falls from that initial peak, it becomes much easier to keep ignoring it, to keep staring the beast in the eyes, while it shrinks and shrivels away. You get a reverse feedback loop going. And every time you manage to do that, you win. You win the battle. Even though you lost the battle in the other game. You win the battle in the real game, in the important game, in the game of life, the game that matters, the more challenging game. And you need to take a moment with yourself to rejoice and celebrate your little victory. That's the game. That's the basic idea of dealing with anger. Now, if you forget yourself, you snap, you react, you begin your fit, don't beat yourself up. Just catch yourself whenever and start the process late. Better later than never. You gave it a little fuel, now start cooling it down. It takes time and practice to get good at this. So now let's talk a little bit about stress. Stress is trickier. Stress is harder to tame. Stress is not even exactly an emotion. It's more of a physiological state. It's your body's way to prepare itself to what your mind perceives to be a dangerous situation. More or less. That's one way to define it. This physiological state of stress evolved to improve our chances of survival in extreme and dangerous situations. But like many of our evolved traits, it's not suited for modern life. If you're in an African savanna and you're about to be attacked by a lion, you better get stressed. That's the appropriate bodily reaction. But in our day-to-day lives, how many situations really justify the amount of stress and pressure that we put ourselves under? The brain assigns meaning and danger to situations where it's not necessarily appropriate. Video games are actually a good example of that, regardless of what we're talking about. Just look at someone's face and body language when they're playing like an intense combat game or a scary zombie game. Just look at the faces that they make. It's hilarious. Now, why do they do that? Well, the answer is because they're in a dangerous environment. But it's a simulated dangerous environment. It's not real. But only some parts of your brain are aware of that. See, the brain is a multi-layer computational device. Different parts of it interact with inputs from your sensory data at the same time. And only some of those parts are capable of judging whether the perceived danger comes from actual reality or simulated reality or just our personal interpretation of the situation we're in. And that stress mechanism gets triggered on false alarms a lot. And too much of it is just bad for you. Stress can help you, it can save your life in certain situations for sure. But too much stress and accumulative stress and continuous stress is just bad news. It's bad for your health, it's bad for your nerves, it's bad for your mental state. And it's just an unpleasant way to live your life. So what can we do about that? Well, lucky for us, as I said, video games can provide us with a simulated environment to practice on. Some video games can generate a lot of stress. Now, a word of warning about that. If you're a person who's at risk, if you're a person who needs to avoid stress due to health issues, mental issues, it might not be a good idea for you to expose yourself to stressful games or scary movies or things of that sort. Now, having said that, the way we deal with stress, and I am about to give you a technique in a minute, is similar to what we did with anger. But stress is a situation, it's a state that tends to be more continuous, more permanent throughout the stress-invoking situation. With stress, it's not as much about peaks and lows as it is about learning how to relax your body continuously and function in calm mode throughout the stress-invoking situation. And if you manage to do that, what you're actually doing is you're informing your brain that everything is okay. If you manage to relax your body and relieve tension from your muscles and put yourself in a comfortable posture, those things send signals to the brain that act as input data that diffuses that stress response. Because that bodily tension creates a loop, a feedback loop similar to the one we talked about with anger. Your mind recognizes a dangerous situation. It triggers the stress response, which triggers the bodily tension. The bodily tension reinforces the idea in your mind that there is, in fact, a dangerous situation, and on the loop continues. Now, if on the other hand, you grab control and you force yourself to relax, you're sending conflicting signals to the brain. The organism is relaxing, maybe there isn't really a dangerous situation. Now, your brain will tend to remain alert. Stress tends to creep back. It creeps back fast and a lot. So you need to be doing this continuously. You need to be doing this in a loop. And what you'll be doing is this. You're going to be going around different sites around your body, putting out fires. Now, what do I mean by that? Start with your face, your facial muscles. Notice the muscles of your eyebrows and forehead. Notice the muscles around your mouth. If you catch yourself with tension in those areas, release the tension. Relax the muscles. Turn the stone into water. Do it incrementally. Relax the muscles, and then relax them more, and then relax them more. There are levels of relaxation. Now, first of all, when you relax your facial muscles, the rest of your body tends to follow. But let's continue. Then you want to audit other parts of your body. What about your shoulders? Are they up? Are they tensed? What about your diaphragm? Upper stomach, lower chest area. Is it tensed? Are you holding your breath? What about your hands, your feet? Are they clenching? Are they trying to grab something? If you catch yourself with tension in any of those areas, release the tension. Turn the stone into water incrementally. Relax and then relax more and then relax more. Put out the fire. Now, it's going to be tough at first, doing those patrols, turning out those fires. But you will get better at it with time and practice. And the better at it you get, the more efficient the reverse feedback loop will get at mitigating those stress responses of your body. That's the basic idea with stress. So now I want to talk a little bit about this stuff outside the context of gaming, because we obviously ultimately practice this stuff to implement it in our everyday lives. The video games just provide us with planned, deliberate, on-demand opportunities to practice so that we become better at it and we'll be able to apply it to real-life situations when they happen. So the techniques are basically the same techniques, but there are a few pointers. So tip number 1 regarding anger. In real-life situations, you'll find that anger is more prone to catch you off guard. In a gaming context, you can predict the anger. You know that you're about to lose, you're about to maybe fail, you're in a tough spot. You know that the fire follows next. But in a real-life situation, a lot of people tend to not recognize the presence of anger until it's way too late, until they're already raging away at someone, damaging their relationships. So what you want to do is you want to get to know yourself better in that regard. Meaning, you want to know what gets under your skin, what typically makes you angry, which people in your life, which topics of conversation. Once you know that, you'll be able to predict the anger better and respond faster. The other thing about anger is you need to be willing to respond, because it might be a little more awkward in a real life situation when there are other people around and you need to stop yourself for a few seconds, do the whole technique. You need to be willing to do that in front of other people. Now, a good tip about stress is this. What you want to do is you want to do random surprise audits of those different sites we talked about, just whenever during the day. You will be surprised, especially if you're a kind of person who tends to be worried and stressed. You will be surprised how many times, just whenever throughout the day, you catch yourself with tension, serious tension in your diaphragm and your facial muscles, your hands, your shoulders, whatever. If you catch yourself with tension, just apply the technique. Relax the muscles, and then relax them more, and then relax them more, and relax them more. Turn the stone into water. Initiate and maintain the relaxation. That's what we're doing. If you're in a meditation, by the way, some of this stuff may sound very familiar to you. Rightfully so, it's basically the same idea. I might as well have called it meditating while gaming. I wouldn't be wrong. So, I hope you guys found this stuff useful and helpful and interesting. This is a good method. It enables you to practice this stuff in a safe environment without real consequences. You can pause a game. You can stop playing. You cannot pause a fight with your partner. You cannot pause an important conversation with your boss. In this way, you can practice this stuff in a simulated environment without any real danger and get really good at this, and then apply it to your real life when you really need it. Now, one of the things I'll be doing in this channel, one of the reasons I started this channel, is I want to do sessions. I want to do stress and anger management while gaming sessions. I want to know that I'm being watched. I want to feel on the spot. I want to feel obligated to apply the techniques every time to get better at it. So you can see me doing that. And that's it. That's what I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you find it helpful. Hope you guys try to apply it. If you have anything to add, you can add it in the comment section. You can like this video, share this video. You can subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.